fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going with the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to him!
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Season 2 of the Australian Turbo Touring Car iRacing Series is upon us. We kick off the season at the beautiful Northamptonshire facility that is the Silverstone circuit. There is a reason this place has hosted quite literally everything there is. It's a track that brings about fantastic racing action right around every single corner of every single layout, of which we're using the international layout today. 10 corners over a short and sharp 3.6 kilometers. And this place has been graced by Formula 1, MotoGP, World Endurance Championship, World Rallycross, British F3, and just about anything else you can think of, including the British Touring Car Championship. So it's no stranger to the beast we see in action today. The 6-week-long UK swing for Season 2 starts right here, and it's live on Simspeed TV. My name is Ryan Jones. I'm joined in the comms box by Cameron Dance, and as always, behind the scenes is Jay Kennedy as well. And brand new season, so let's go through a little refresher course ahead of round 1. The format: each round will consist of a 10-minute qualifying session, followed by a 10-minute sprint race. We send them back out for another 10-minute quali session, which sets the grid for race 2, which is a 20-minute feature race in which all drivers must stop at least once for a minimum of 2 tyres. And each race pays out the same points, so every spot is crucial. And the car, we're using the first and currently only TCR that's made its way into the iRacing service, the Audi RS3 LMS. Talk us through it, Cam.
Yeah, it's a neat little car. Pretty much take it straight off the showroom floor, throw a roll cage in it, throw a couple of different body parts on it, and you got yourself a race car, really. It's, yeah, a neat little car. It only weighs about 1,215 kg, goes from 0 to 100 in 4.5 seconds. It's, yeah, a really simple car and really, really neat to see. We've seen plenty of good racing in this car, both in official stuff and also in Season 1. So, yeah, really looking forward to Season 2 and what it possibly holds.
What about the schedule? What tracks are we rolling into this season? Well, here it is. This is a look at our Season 2 calendar. Easing the burden on the wallet, we visit Silverstone twice, bookending the season with round 1 and round 6, using the International and then the Grand Prix layouts. Round 2, we visit Brands Hatch Indy before we head to Donington GP and Citizen 300. Another wallet easer as we go back to Brands Hatch, but this time on the GP layout. Then, of course, the season finale back here at the home of British Motor Racing. And Cameron, have a look at the championship wrapped up last season, or how it wrapped up last season, I should say, because it should give us a pretty good form guide here for Season 2.
Yeah, certainly. It was a very, very close championship last season. It went down to the final race on the wire. 4-point difference between Thomas Hins, who eventually won the championship, and Scotty McQueen in second. It was a fantastic season. You couldn't script it any better than having the top 2 fighting it out to the last lap of the last race. So, yeah, it's really, really going to be interesting to see who comes out on top this season. Got a couple of drivers returning from Season 1, so be interesting to see how they do in the second season. But nevertheless, really looking forward to seeing whether Thomas Hins can defend his title again or whether someone else steps up to the plate.
You see the teams championship as well, and some of the teams returning like Eclipse and Prologue Rack, Chicken Up Racing, carry off the driver's seat. Going to be very good to see how it all unfolds today. A couple of big hitters, though, coming in for the first time this season. Most notably, I think, Ethan Grigault and Evolution Racing team is joined by Cooper Webster in the Panther Race Fuel machines. Those two and that team is going to be at the front. I don't think there's much doubt about that. I think they're going to put themselves straight up into the talk for the championship, aren't they?
Yeah, certainly. Two very, very solid drivers in the VA and in general as well. Have proved themselves many, many times in various different races here broadcasted by us, of course, Simspeed. So, yeah, really looking forward to seeing how they go. Probably going to be the favourites, like you said, but then again, it's all about getting those points at the end of the day, which Thomas Hin's clearly proved because even though he's not the quickest, he definitely did manage to finish pretty much every single race. So, yeah, it's going to be all about just getting those points at the end of the day. And you looked at the points again on the driver standings, and some of those drivers from season one did somewhat miss out on the championship, possibly just primarily down to bad races or DNFs and that sort of stuff. I mean, you had the likes of Jackson Susan Lahalo, Reese Gardner, Ryan Jarrett, Mitch Martin, Dominic Ferraris, all were well within a shot of winning the championship based on pace. So, yeah, really looking forward to seeing who's going to be stepping up to the plate and what sort of battles we can possibly see.
Well, in terms of building a championship fight and having a charge at getting a win, especially a 6-week season like this, where there's 12 races, consistency is key. I mean, especially with the format we have, 10-minute race and 20-minute race, the action is short and sharp and quite frantic. A lot is happening out there. If you qualify poorly, it's very easily to find yourself facing the wrong way at some point and finishing a long way down the order. And the way the point system works, every spot equals a point. And so the championship stays very tight. And a mistake or a poor race costs you massively. So like we saw last season with Thomas Hinds, if you can be consistent, you're well within a shout. Being outright fast is not the be all and end all, but right now, that is what it's all about because it's qualifying. The 10-minute session is underway. We're riding aboard with the number one, Thomas Hinds, the first time he's ever been able to use the number one in a league because it's his first championship win, at least for a league that hadn't folded at the end of the year. So he's able to come back and use number one and looks pretty sharp in that KRF car.
Yeah, it most certainly does. It's something about using that number one that just sort of gives you that little bit of an ego boost and just puts a smile on your dial because you know that, hey, I'm the big man out here, come beat me, sort of thing. So, yeah, it's one of those things that when you get that number one and you get to run it, it's you really do cherish it as a driver, and really do take the opportunity to run it at every single point that you possibly can.
Qualifying format for these drivers. It is solo qualifying, so each driver will only see themselves out on track. Hinds puts down the gauntlet of a 1:27.813. They get 3 laps to put in their time. Of course, these cars are they're one of the first actually to get the new tire model. So a lot of these guys will be quite accustomed now to having to warm these tires up, but it will mean we should see the lap times get quicker and quicker for each lap of these drivers, barring mistakes out there. Cooper Webster puts himself up to provisional pole with 26.7. His teammate Ethan Gregault coming through into the final stages of the lap now.
Yeah, certainly. Very, very solid lap there by Cooper Webster. Obviously, immediately putting the gauntlet down and showing he's here to not mess around and try possibly steal a title or maybe get a few race wins as well. So, yeah, really going to be interesting to see whether he can hold on to that as Ethan Gregault comes across the line, and he is going to go P2. So, Evolution Racing Team 1-2 at the moment.
Ominous signs. Then we had what was it in the end? 5 official practice sessions leading up to the start of the season. And Tim Grekoga, in all of them, it seemed, was always at the front. So, based off pre-season pace, Grekoga is another driver we're definitely going to have to watch out for. He had pace in bursts last season, wasn't able to put a full campaign together. Looking at currently, bright spotty helmet there, currently sat in P3. If he can put together a good campaign, he's definitely going to be another contender for that title.
Yeah, he had a really good back end of the season last season, so going to be interesting to see how he goes in season 2 and whether he can, like I said, put that full season together and end up being a championship title contender at the end of the day. But that said, those Eclipse cars of Ryan Jarrett and Mitch Martin and pretty much all the Eclipse cars actually were really, really quick throughout the season. Obviously, a couple of mishaps here and there for nearly everyone, but if they can put it together, they should actually stand a really, really good chance of taking it to the likes of ERT and the likes of also Thomas Hinds and that.
Well, Grekoga went fastest on his second lap ahead of Brett Kenanzi and Dean Ross. So he's got the pace from practice carried over to qualifying, but here comes Ethan Gregault, currently 6 across the line. His second lap puts him up well, stays in 6th. He made a mistake. It was 27 over that time round by him. So goes slower. Let's see if his third lap is any better, though. He's got about another minute and a half before he completes that one. Let's go back, look at someone else. This looks like Dean Ross. It's Sam Ross. Close enough, right? Racing for the same team. Currently sat in 10th place. Didn't see Sam in Season 1. Newcomer to the second season.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Sam goes. I do believe we did see him in Season 1, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh.
Well, could
Okay.
be wrong, but yeah, rest a couple of races. There you go. So Jay clearly pointing out the incorrect of what you said there, Ryan. But nevertheless, yeah, it will be interesting to see how those two go. Obviously, the DSR guys really putting on some awesome results in Season 1. So yeah, going to be interesting to see where they land in Season 2.
And that he abandoned his final attempt there as Mia Ott is going to come across the line, put herself just beginning her first lap. In fact, Cooper Webster goes to provisional pole then. Tim Grakoga coming around to that final corner now. He crosses the stripe. 26.864, not good enough for him. It's about half a second off his previous best. Brett Cananzi's also finished his lap. Where's Ethan Grigalt then? He's coming through the final corner. Where will he put his Evolution Racing Team machine car? 117 goes to 7th. So Cooper Webster looking to be on provisional pole right now, sitting pretty comfortable there. 300ths clear of Gakoga as Maloney puts himself up into 3rd place. He's still got one more attempt left.
Yeah, Maloney's probably going to be a bit of a dark horse here. He's known to be a reasonably quick driver, but doesn't really tend to show it all that much. So it'll actually be quite fascinating to see how Maloney actually goes this season, whether he can end up actually being a championship contender at the end of the day.
Just riding aboard with me. Oh, these are tricky machines to drive because of their front wheel nature. Everything else in iRacing is rear-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. It's very strange when you jump into one of these cars initially, just the way the force feedback works. And it's very easy to just understeer out onto the grass coming out of the corners because of it.
Yeah, certainly. It's a strange feeling driving a front wheel drive car because you're naturally used to, okay, the car's turned, I'll get on the throttle now so I can drive myself out of the corner. Oh, wait, hold on. No, that's not the case. It's all about just letting the car roll through the corner, through the center of the corner, and just get that rotation. And then once you're straight enough, putting the throttle on nice and slowly just to not spin the wheels up or anything like that. And the force feedback, like you said, is a little bit different to what most people are used to because you're having the likes of torque steer and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's a unique car to drive, but it's actually really, really fun at the end of the day, and probably suited to some guys who do and girls who do like a car that does point a little bit in the
Maloney. 26.325 goes up to pole position by just over 300ths of a second back to Cooper Webster. Is there anyone else left on the track that can challenge him? Don't think so. I think the rest of the fight is going to be for the minor placings. What about Mitch Martin? He could be a dark horse in this one. 26.716 put himself up inside the top 10 into 9th place, ahead of Reese Gardner. There's a few Simspeed commentators racing today. It's a bit strange, Cam. We got Reese, we got Jake Sperry. Now that's a face you don't see racing very often. He's back in 23rd. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes, because I believe he's on a controller, isn't he?
Yeah, I believe Jake doesn't actually have a wheel. He ends up driving on a PlayStation 3 controller. Don't ask me how, and do not ask me why he hasn't bought a wheel, because I cannot answer either of those questions. But for the fact that he ends up racing on a controller and does as reasonably well as he does, both on the microphone and in the car, it's actually quite amazing to see that he can do that.
On the microphone. I don't think the controller is affecting the ability to compensate there, Cam. But yeah, I think that's it. I think our qualifying session is done then here in Silverstone. Thanks to our race sponsors, RMS, Race Management Service, RSW Graphics, and Simfinity, who are giving away a prize, which we'll tell you about a little bit later on in the broadcast. We will look at the starting grid. Thanks to our sponsors and fancy numbers, as you would have seen on the leaderboard, made their debut in V8 Scops. They're back for TCR. Jake Maloney sits on pole for Trans-Tasman Racing. Oh boy. Cooper Webster starts from second. Tim Grakoga, Brett Cananzi off of row 2. Ryan Jarrett and Dave Roberts start from P5 and P6. Dean Ross and Ethan Grigalt, 7th and 8th, top 10 rounded out by Mitch Martin and Reece Gardner.
Just behind those two, Lenny Nobili and the defending champion Thomas Hinds on row number 6. Row 7, Sam Ross and Thomas Cole, followed by Steve Cortez and Fulton Penny on row 8. Row 9, Ashley Norman and Hamish Clearland. And rounding out the top 20 will be Chris McVie and Michael Spittle.
21st belongs to John Halloran ahead of Mitchell Wiley. 22nd, then comes Jake Sperry and Jason Markowski off row 12. Bruce Ross, Brent Tucker, 25th and 26th. Matthew Spencer and Ira Felberg line up 27th and 28th. Ahead of Joshua Cavallaro in 29th and Mia Ott 30th.
And then rounding out the field it will be Jack Johnston, Ross Thallon, Benjamin Dahlia, Daniel Tell, John Moyston, Timothy Hatton, and Cameron Cousins.
Biggest field we've seen in an Australian Turbo Touring Car iRacing Series round to date. Fantastic to see to start off the new season. I believe there's still a couple spots left up for grabs. If you get in quick on the Australian Turbo Touring Car iRacing Series Facebook page, you can find the link to register and get your name out here on the broadcast, on the grid. Going to be a tricky start for some of these drivers. Around the curve, I believe it's, what's it called? Woodstock? I believe that last corner. Going to be tricky for them then as they get off the line. But these guys at the front, no issues like that. They've got a straight run down into Cops, into turn number 1. And it will be Maloney versus Webster off that front row. The cars in general are incredibly tricky to launch. Let's see if anyone has any issues then as the clock runs down. The drivers will get ready to get underway here in Silverstone. Race 1, round 1, season 2 is green. And it's a pretty even start there for the top 4, 5, 6 cars. They start to close up and go 3 wide then for third place. That's going to be Brett Kenanzi under a lot of pressure as they go door-to-door behind them.
Yeah, everybody seems to have made it through turn 1 nice and clearly. A couple of drivers 2 wide, 3 wide even in the back. But for the most part, everybody seems to have made it through. Big scrap, though, at the moment for what seems to be about P5 between a number of cars and a bit of contact as well.
Ethan Gagalt tried to go for the late look up the inside of Dean Ross, couldn't get it done. Reece Gardner had to take evasive action. That's Mitch Martin, who's now on the defence from Thomas Hinds, who's going to go through. He's on the wrong side of the track, though. He's going to have to cover off down into turn number 5. Going to do it nicely as that was an incident in the background you just saw. Oh, someone's lost a wheel.
Yeah.
Who was that?
I'm not quite sure what's actually happened there. There looks to be a wheel and a car around as well.
New damage model, of course, on these cars, and things like that will happen. You'll see wheels flying across the track. It wasn't him. He's got all 4 of them still left. Mitchell Wiley? No. Jack Johnston? John Mostyn? I don't know where the wheel came from, because it was in the top half of the field. Strange. It might have been Dean Ross who lost it, which is strange. Maybe lost it over the curbs, potentially. Broke the suspension or something. But we carry on. No safety cars. And we complete our first lap. Not comfortable at all for Jake Maloney out front. Cooper Webster has stayed glued to his rear bumper.
Webster's all over the rear end of Maloney at the moment, really trying to sort of set up a pass on this. What is a quite short circuit and doesn't really offer too many obvious passing spots. So he's really got to actually think about where he's going to try and pass it. But at the same time, he's really got to get a move on because the 2 Eclipse cars of Goat Krogger and also Ryan Jerick are really starting to hunt them down now for the lead.
Good battle too for P5 between Roberts, Kenanzi and Greg Galt. They're pretty much under a blanket, making their way down this little back straight, we'll call it. Ryan Jerick, right on the back of Tim Grekoga, who goes very deep into the 5th corner of the circuit. Almost got to the back of Cooper Webster. His exit, though, very poor as a result. The top 4 are pretty close if Webster and Maloney start to fight. Of course, it's a 10-minute sprint, this one, so we are almost halfway through it already, as Webster shows the nose into turn 7. Maloney shuts that door firmly.
Yeah, Maloney doing a fantastic job at the moment to defend the race lead from the Evolution Racing team car of Cooper Webster, and managing to hold a pretty solid gap back to the 2 Eclipse cars as well of Go Krogger and also Jerick. So looking like it's pretty single file, and if Maloney can manage to hold on for the rest of the race, he should have this win pretty comfortably, but Webster's been definitely putting on a solid amount of pressure.
Look at your goal in the background, trying to go by Brett Cananzi, who just edges him over to the right-hand side of the track, late on the brakes. Ethan Grigol, a bit of contact between them through that first corner, but he completes the move on that Panther Race Fuels machine, and Cananzi will go back then to P number 7. Grigol will set his sights on Dave Roberts, who's just gapped him a little bit as a result. Top 4 now even closer through the 4th corner.
Yeah, very, very solid move there by Ethan Grigol to get past Brett Cananzi. Very, very late on the brakes as well. He was probably on the threshold of the brake pedal, but regardless, and it sounds like the car number 5 of Lenny Nobili has been given a drive through.
Big shame for him. Here's a replay up on screen thanks to Motum Simulation. This was an incident with Ross Salon, and that is a wild spin across the track. Lucky for no one else to be involved apart from Joshua Cavallaro, who turned him around. How did this happen? It looks like, I think Ross just turned in there. Hard to tell.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but I think just Ross is like probably not expected him to be there, and he's just sort of cut across. It's one of those things where they might not be in your mirrors, and the spotter might have just told you they're clear, but it's one of those things that when you're in the car, it's sort of hard to judge. But yeah, unfortunate there for Ross, but nevertheless, you'll be able to fight through.
At the line, the gap between the top 4 was 1 second. This is still anyone's game here in the international layout of the Silverstone circuit. A small gap back to the battle for P5. Dave Roberts under a lot of pressure now from Ethan Grigol to go to the lunge up the inside. He didn't quite have the overlap to keep that move going, and now he's going to be under pressure from Brett Cananzi, who's trying to come back at him after losing the spot earlier, looking every which way. He decides to go to the left-hand side. Grigol shuts that door and tries to drive around the outside of Dave Roberts at turn 5. Can he keep the nose there? Fantastic move from Grigol. They're going to go side by side now into turn 6 on the wrong side of the track again for the Evolution Racing Team machine. Side by side, door to door. Grigol's going to take it away.
Very, very good move there by Grigol to hold it around the outside and have the inside for the next corner. Amazing, amazing move, but nevertheless, Roberts is now going to have Brett Cananzi, Gardner, and also Mitch Martin right on his tail after those two going side by side has clearly held them up a little bit. So we'll possibly see a change of position from these 3 ahead.
Just noticed Timothy Hatton's been disqualified from the race. Didn't think we quite saw what happened there. But he's copped the DQ and is out of this race as they go side by side back here into Cops. Will this pan out well around the outside for the Harvey Autoglass Race and Oz machine? And Steve Curtis now going to try to capitalize into the very fast sweeping corners. Curtis doesn't complete the move, but should do it here through turn 4. But he won't. Stays side by side.
Yeah, still side by side, but it looks like Cole is just going to edge out Curtis in the end and is going to go defensive heading in towards the hairpin, or maybe not. Curtis is looking up the inside, but not quite going to be close enough to make a move.
Jake Maloney then will be watching in his mirrors because Cooper Webster's starting to fall away, and Tim Grakoga is on the offensive with Ryan Jarrett right in behind him as well. Still got 2 more laps left in this one. Oh, a couple cars off the track. Brett Cananzi, and is that Dave Roberts as well? Oh, 3 wide. Oh no, and around goes Sam Ross. Innocent victim to that one. On the outside of 3 abreast into that corner. Was never going to work. Take a look at the replay here.
Yeah, you can just see the incident kind of all started with probably the fact that Cananzi sort of possibly just panicked a little bit with the fact that Reese was so far on his back bumper and then just sort of outbroke himself and ran into the back of Roberts, unfortunately. So really unfortunate there. Good sportsmanship by Cananzi to redress the position, but that 3 wide was absolutely unbelievable and unfortunate for Sam Ross, who just ended up clipping a wheel and just going around, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, here's the onboard with him. not really much he could have done different about that one. Just a very unfortunate situation, the product of a close sprint race at a tight track like this one is. As Jake Maloney will come through into turn 7, he's starting to come under more pressure. Webster's starting to come back at him. The TTR versus Evolution Racing Team, a battle up front. Two heavyweights of sim racing here in Australia going toe-to-toe. Going to have one more time around the 3.6 kilometre circuit. Top 4 could still win this race. Who's it going to be? As it come round, white flag in the air.
Yeah, one more lap to go for Maloney to try and hold off Cooper Webster, who's probably going to throw everything he possibly can at Maloney to try and take this race win. It's kind of funny seeing these two teams duke it out in a somewhat small series, what would be for the two heavyweights of Australian sim racing when you compare this sort of thing to V8 Scops, but nevertheless they're still going toe-to-toe in pretty much everything as Webster shows the nose and nearly makes contact, but Maloney manages to hold on.
That may be enough for Maloney. That's compromised Webster coming out of the corner. Grakoga getting a little bit closer to him as well down this back straight as they start to close up a little bit on the approach to turn 5 as the slipstream takes effect. Grakoga takes a look, gets into the back of Webster, into the back of Maloney as well. Bumper to bumper, the top 3 then. As they come out of 5, all pointed the right direction somehow. Webster was dancing that car through the corner. Into the turn 6, under the bridge they go. Webster's still in with a shout as he goes for the late move. Into turn 7, Maloney, fearless in his defence. He turned into that corner, not a shadow of a doubt that he was going to make it. As behind, Ryan Jarrett tried to lunge up the inside of Grakoga as well, but that's not going to happen. Out of the final corner, it will be Jake Maloney that holds on, takes out race 1 of round 1, the sprint race here in Silverstone. Webster will cross the line behind him. Fantastic battle with that top 4 all race long.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic race by, well, fantastic display of defensive driving by Maloney and fantastic battles throughout that top 4 all race long. They left nothing on the table at all. So yeah, really, really good racing, and looks like it's been pretty good racing throughout the field as well, with pretty much everybody starting to come across the line. Battle for down at the order between Ross Thalen and Cameron Cousins. There's going to be a race to the line. It's going to be close to call. Thalen's going to have the inside, then he might just edge Cousins out. Yes, he does. Only just.
Very close finish between those guys. 300ths of a second separating them. That is the whole field then across the line. 33 people finishing on the lead lap in the end. Let's go through, take a look at our results, our unofficial results. Penalties can still be issued post-race. Here for Silverstone, and Maloney takes it out for Trans-Tasman Racing in that 029 machine. Cooper Webster came home second, just 2 tenths adrift in the end. Had a Grakoga and Jarek. Ethan Grigalt made it 2 out of the top 5 for Evolution Racing Team. Reese Gardner home in 6th place, a good result for him. Mitch Martin, Thomas Hinn, 7th and 8th for the defending champion. Dave Roberts, Lenny Nobili rounding out that top 10.
Then we go back to over the page to Brett Cananzi and Thomas Cole 11th and 12th, 13th to Steve Curtis and Bruce Ross in 14th. Hamish Clellan rallying at the top 15 with Ashley Norman and Jason Markowski in 16th and 17th. 18th goes to Brant Tucker with Mia Ott and Sam Ross rounding out the top 20.
21st was Jake Sperry, had a Joshua Cavallaro, Cruz McVie and Ira Felberg. Matthew Spencer came home 25th, ahead of Ross Dowlon on 26th. Cameron Cousins and Daniel Towell, Benjamin Dahlia and Jack Johnston running out that top 30.
And rounding out the rest of the field will be John Moyston, followed by Mitchell Wiley, Fulton Penny, John Halloran, Dean Ross, and then Timothy Hatton rounding out the field.
Wanted to get Jay to change that unofficial results screen from round 1 to race 1, because we've still got another race still to come here in this first round, so stay tuned with us as I check your TV channel. Nope. We're going to go to a quick break here on Simspeed TV. When we come back, race 2 of round 1 for season 2 of the Australian Turbo Touring Car iRacing Series.
fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
It's very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh, no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh, my God.
God, what?
Welcome back to Silverstone International for Race 2, Round 1 here at, Silverstone. I do apologise. Our lovely director here, Cameron, threw us on deep end, didn't he? Because he goes, "You guys ready to come back?" Didn't wait for an answer, just threw us straight back on the air, didn't he?
Yeah, he kind of just went, "Here you go nuts." So anyway, we're all live and going, and there's cars on track, so that's the main thing. Anyway, qualifying isn't too far away, but yeah, it's a little bit of a surprise to be in here when there's practice on.
Yeah, 5 seconds left, all good. So, I did mention earlier on that I would tell you about the prize on offer from Simfinity for this season. It'll be drawn halfway through the season. And that there is what they are giving away. It is a, what's the word, Cam? A rig, a chassis for your, for all your racing needs. All you need is to chuck a wheel and a pedal on it, and you're good to go. Retailing $900, pretty decent prize, and I believe it's a random prize, a random draw for the drivers.
Yes, that is correct, and yeah, you can't complain with that sort of a rig. It's a 80/20 aluminium extrusion sort of rig that like you see with a number of different manufacturers. So yeah, it's pretty solid rig, and I would definitely not mind one of those myself, to be honest.
Yeah, can we open this drawer up to the commentators as well? I think that would be fair, right? I want one of those too, Cam. How much chip in and we'll get one, right? To be eligible, you have to be you have to compete. Jace has told us in 50% of the races. So, as long as you compete in 2 rounds, by the end of round 4, you're in with a shout. So you still got time if you're thinking of signing up to race, or you're watching this back and you thought round 1 didn't go too well. Hang on in there, because every round brings a new face to the front, it seems, and something crazy happens in every single round. That's what happened last season, at least. And there's a free rig up for grabs, so why not?
Yeah, absolutely can't complain with close racing and the possible free rigs. So yeah, I'd definitely sign up if I was anybody really keen on racing in this series. I mean, you can't complain when basically 38 cars or so are separated by, well, not a lot of time. So yeah, it's plenty of action, and yeah, everybody's almost in with a shout of winning it, really.
Certainly are. Qualifying then underway. First lap's going to go on the board fairly soon. Watching Cruz McVee. And he's making his way through in Maggots, and then he'll hook a right here, get off the GP layout, and basically shortcut most of the course and rejoin it in what would be normally the 3rd sector.
Yeah, you normally come out, well, you normally go through all the way down Hanger Straight and all that sort of area, and you end up just cutting that out entirely and ending up at Abbey. So yeah, it's actually a neat little layout if you haven't ever driven it. It's similar in shape, funnily enough, to what the national circuit of Hockenheim is. So yeah, it's really fun layout, and would definitely give it a go if I hadn't already.
Sam Ross just completing his lap. This will be the first time to go down on the board, get a chance to put himself up on pole position. You want to take a screenshot as quickly as you can once he does that, because the field is going to be charging hard after him. Gauntlet is put down, set at a 1 minute 28.029. Tim Grakoga does a 126.568 to knock him off. Lenino Billy puts himself up into third. Daniel Tao puts himself up, and the times start to flow.
Yeah, everybody's starting to lay their first laps down. Ethan Grigol straight to P2 and Brett Cananzi to P3. So everybody's starting to really put in some relative first safe laps that you would probably pretty much put in. Banker lap, we'll put it that way, and Cooper pole. So yeah, times are starting to flow in, and we'll see who's going to possibly be on pole for this race.
Clean up a few loose ends from race 1. The random wheel that we saw at one stage on that first lap that we could not find an owner for was a technical difficulty. And the black flag we did not have a reason for for us in a booth for Timothy Hatton didn't serve as a black flag. He's incredibly new to iRacing, or he's just got back into iRacing, so growing pains for him. I'm sure he'll be back stronger and faster for round 2. But a reminder to all your drivers: serve your black flags as soon as you can.
Yeah, it's a helpful thing to do that as soon as you can, whether it's lap 1 or possibly if you want to go another extra 2 laps and do it on lap 3. But yeah, there is a limited number of laps, so yeah, do keep that in mind.
Grakoga currently fastest. Will he go faster again? Cross the line. He doesn't. 27.396. I feel like he's lifted off on that lap to maintain the tyres for the third lap when they're completely up to temp, because that is a long way off the pace.
That wouldn't be a bad strategy if I'm honest, because you sort of want temp in the tires, but you don't want to wear them out too quickly either. So yeah, possibly interesting strategy move there, but who possibly knows what's happened there. Also, Maloney's gone to P2 and Webster straight to P1 as well. Lap, and believe Dean Ross has also gone to P5. Reese Gardner, P7. Mitch Martin is about to come across the line and go to P4. So some decent representative laps starting to come in now.
They are. I'm just still watching Grakoga to see what the third lap is like for him. He's still got quite a ways to go. We'll stay watching Tucker on the broadcast, though, as he makes his way through the final corner. How are his tyres holding up then as he gets towards the end of another lap here in qualifying? With that yellow, black and red machine. Pretty decent little livery, that one. And he's going to cross the line. He puts himself with a 129.046 up into 30th place.
Yeah, not too quick of a lap there by Brandt, and he's obviously got one more lap, so we'll see whether he can improve on that third lap. But Gokrogo about to come across the line from P2 and go straight to P1 by basically not quite 2 tenths, and Webster has done so. He won't be doing any more laps at this stage. Maloney's about to come across the line, and he is going to improve, or is he not? He will and go to P3. So
Stays third.
Stays third.
Well, I reckon we can safely say Grakoga saved his tyres in that second lap, because that was a stonker, that third one. Mitch Martin is going to come through to complete his final lap as he comes through with Scott now. Will cut it as tight as he possibly can. He'll go through those bollards and across the line. 126.601. It puts himself stays fourth. Ooh, look at the gap between himself and Dean Ross behind him, Cam.
Absolutely nothing in it. And Ryan jerked straight to P2 to make it an Eclipse 1-2.
Who else popped up really late there? Grigol, 7th? Oh no, Dean Ross. Yeah, Dean Ross popped up, of course, here in the 6th place. Grigol, 7th. Thomas Hinds back in 11th. He's struggling here in round 1, it seems, for a bit of pace. Maybe not suited particularly well to the track. Mia Ott goes 17th. Jason Markowski goes 23rd. I, personally, those machines, the Markowski Motorsport cars, my favourite on the track.
Yeah, they're actually quite good little liveries, actually. It's really, really a sight to see out on the track, and it really does stand out. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to possibly seeing more and more of those on the track this season, and hopefully at the pointy end as well.
MMS Esports. They are listed as, I think they were Markowski Motorsports last season even. Little rebranding it seems, MMS Esports. Let's see what Markowski can do then for...
Yeah, just coming through the Abbey section now and down towards the bridge on his third lap.
Five,
See
yeah.
whether he can possibly improve. Be interesting to see where he ends up. It's coming through the final 2 corners now to finish lap, trying to get on the power as early as he possibly can without spinning those wheels up. Obviously, in this front wheel drive car, and letting the car rotate mid corner before getting the power. Out of the final corner now on the run to line. I believe he's one of the last ones on the final flying lap. Kowski is going to not improve, so he will stay in P28, and Brent Tucker will improve but stay in P29.
Jack Johnston finally gets a lap on the board to go 32nd in that 113 machine. Joshua Cavallaro back here in 28th, a little bit further back than where he finished in race 1, as he comes through turn number 7. What can he do? He's got 45 seconds left to do this lap. Should do that pretty comfortably. He will be the final driver to set a lap time in that car as he comes through that final corner. Get the power down as early as you can, but don't understeer wide out onto the AstroTurf and the actual grass, and then cut this final corner as tight as you can, and across the line. It's a... Did he? He didn't, did he? Did he? Wait a second. Time didn't count. It didn't update, I can tell you that much, on my screen. So, he stays 28th. And with that confusion done with Cam, let's go look at the starting grid. Tim Koga, pole position. Ryan Jarek from second. 2 new faces on the front row. Cooper Webster, Maloney will restart their duel from row 2. Mitch Martin and Dean Ross, 5th and 6th. Ethan Grigault, Brett Cananzi, 7th and 8th. Dave Roberts, Thomas Hinds running out the top 10.
Then we go back to row number 6 for Reese Gardner and Lenny O'Billy. Row 7, Daniel Tell and Sam Ross. Row 8, Thomas Cool and Fulton Penny, Mia Ott, and the likes of Stephen Curtis on 18th. And rounding out the top 20, and John Halloran.
Ross Salon starts from 21st, ahead of Clamish Cleland in 22nd, and Jake Sperry, Jason Markowski on row 12. Bruce Ross and Cruz McVie, 25th, 26th, and Matthew Spencer and Joshua Cavallaro. Brent Tucker and Ira Felberg round out your top 30. Field are going to be rounded out by Cameron Cousins and Jack Johnston, Benjamin Dahlia and John Mostyn. Oh, and Mitchell Wiley as well. Race control there off the last row of the grid. They won't be racing. They'll be doing the live race control courtesy of RMS Race Management Service. Track temp 27 degrees. Pretty good for those drivers.
Yeah, it's not too hot, but not too frigid cold to the point where the tires are ice blocks. So yeah, it shouldn't be too much of an issue to see the tires will do for the strategy and the pit stop for this race. But that said, it's actually not that much different to what we saw last season. So possibly you're going to see drivers pitting late, might see some pitting early. It'll be interesting to see who does what, and whether we see some drivers do the same strategy as what they did in season 1.
Last season, we saw everything from the very first possible lap, which is at the conclusion of lap number 1, to the very last possible one, which is just before the white flag comes out. We've seen drivers put on every possible lap of a 20-minute feature race over the course of the season. Strategy is going to be varied today. It's going to play a big part. Clean air is going to be crucial as we get this one underway. Grakoga and Jarek on the front row. Green flag will fly. Poor start from Ryan Jarek in second. Grakoga, I think, missed a shift. He's going backwards now. 4 wide down into Cops they go. Now they go 3 wide behind for second place. Will they all make it out the other side? TTR and Evolution Racing Team in the middle, and then going through on the inside, Eclipse Sim Sports will come out with Mitch Martin in second. Contact with Maloney. Can he hold it? No, he's going to go for a wild spin through the gravel.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate there for the Eclipse car to end up making contact with Maloney. Martin probably not going to be too happy with that. Maloney possibly will cop a penalty for that, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see. A couple of drivers going 2 and 3 wide further down the field, but at the moment it seems to be pretty all on at the moment between Maloney and Ethan Gold, as well as Ryan Cherick as our team Goldberger is in there. Sorry, so it's all going off and cut off
Oh,
with a
there's
wheel
a
off as
big
well.
crash in the background. Few cars off the track. Careful with that rejoin, fellas. And that is a lot of cars going a lot of different directions. That looks like Jake Sperry and Cavallaro. And the 66 machine too. So they all sort themselves out. And we continue on with our race as they go side by side. Dave Roberts goes by Maloney. So too will Dean Ross. He'll go to pit lane, in fact. So, first of the pit is going to be Dean Ross. Brett Cananzi will be the next on the back of Maloney. Thomas Hinds behind him. Cooper Webster dive down to pit lane as well.
Yeah, you're starting to see people already starting to pit by the looks of it. Possibly some for damage, possibly some to get their compulsory pit stop out of the way. And it did look like, actually, in Jake Sperry and the number of cars on lap 1, it was actually Sperry's fault at the end of the day. So we'll possibly have to give him a bit of an elbow nudge.
I desperately wanted to think of one of Sperry's sayings when he commentates, but I couldn't think of one. Oh no, more drama! Thomas Cool facing the wrong way. He's going to lose out of the top 10 spot, and that racing Oz machine going to have to wait for the whole field to go by almost to get himself back, point at the right direction. Motor simulation replay. What happened, Cam?
It just looks. Oh, this one's a hard one, Cool, because it's like he's gone for the move up the inside of Daniel Talon, and Gap's kind of disappeared, and then unfortunately, Oz just had nowhere to go. Unfortunately,
it's still going on. Cruz McVee now involved. Both racing Oz cars cop a massive whack, and there was 4 cars all piled up all at once there. Brant Tucker was the first go around at Markowski into him, and then, oh, how unlucky for those other drivers who got involved.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's actually happened there for Markowski. I'm not even sure. He's hit the brake pedal, but just hasn't stopped, and ended up pile driving into the door of Brant Tucker, unfortunately. So you're not quite sure what's happened, and then everybody else sort of followed them in. So yeah, a bit unfortunate there for those drivers
look at
involved,
this.
but regardless.
Look at this. Maloney, Roberts. Oh, Cananzi and Hinds. Cananzi's going to get turned. He goes to the gravel, hard into the fence, and loses a tyre.
2 wheels, actually. He's got
tires.
no left sides, actually. So not a good race for the Eclipse guys, and definitely not a good race for Brett Cananzi, who's going to actually pit lane probably.
Yep, he's going to have to go back to pit lane, and this was messy. Look at the run that Hinds got come out of the corner. Cananzi checked up by Maloney and Roberts in front, and then in to the start of the section of the track. Space just ran out. They came together. I think you'd actually call that one a racing incident, because Hinds had plenty of overlap, but Cananzi did come down a long way and squeezed him quite a bit. So I don't know if Hinds would actually get a penalty for that one.
Yeah, that's a hard one, because they were side by side. It's kind of probably a bit similar to what happened to Rouse Thallon in the previous race, where you sort of know the driver's there, but you can't quite see him. And Sperry has indeed copped the drive-through, so the naughty boy, and will be sent to the shadow realm after this, that's for sure.
Stick to commentating, Jake. That's what he says when we race, isn't it, Cam? What about Maloney and Roberts? As they almost go side by side through Cops again. Maloney going for the crossover move this time. Will he go side by side through the most troublesome section of the track we've seen today? He's not scared of it, as plenty of room left by Roberts. Easy move in the end for Maloney.
Yeah, very, very solid move there by Maloney, and just managed to hold it to the right-hand side. And there's
no! Wow, this second race is wild. That's not even a Billy and Fulton Penny that have run into incidents. Every lap, people running into issues. John Halloran had an issue at the same corner just after them as well. This is a replay, and bumper-to-bumper contact between them. Strange, that one. I think no, Billy's outbraked himself, and you can just see at the end of the shot there, Halloran going for his own spin through the corner too.
Yeah, kind of a weird one, that one, actually. Yeah,
These cars nothing stops the grass anymore in iRacing, it seems. You go sliding forever, and Halloran just spinning in sympathy. Or go for the rallycross route through the circuit there.
Well, I mean, Silverstone does have a rallycross circuit, so it yeah, it's probably not a surprise that he would possibly be trying his hand at trying to use this track as a rallycross circuit. But anyway, it's again another lot of drivers coming in, Cameron Cousins, Greg Galt, and Thomas Hins as well as another driver. So a couple of drivers and Brant Hucker. So a couple of drivers really starting to get out of traffic and wanting to get some clean air.
It'll be interesting to see where Rigault filters out compared to Cooper Webster, who pitted extremely early. Same with Thomas Hins, up on the jacks for such a long time in these TCR machines. Only got to take 2 tyres. Rigault gets dropped back out into the fast lane and into a world of clean air for him. Cooper Webster comes through ahead of Thomas Hins, but behind his Evolution Racing teammate. And Hins is going to lose out to Reese Gardner as well.
Yeah, Reese has actually managed to do a pretty good job there, although he is yet to pit, I believe, as Reese has had a moment there.
Whew. Well, he's ruined that for himself, hasn't he? In that Fusion Sim Racing machine. Big slide. Gathers it up, though, as we watch John Halloran here in 11th place in the battle for 10th with Bruce Ross. And Thomas Cool behind him too, gets into the back of him. Cool applying the chrome horn even.
Yeah, using a little bit of the bumpers to try and sort things out a little bit and get things a bit of a move on. Using it a bit of Morse code, I guess you could say.
Should take this one away relatively easily down this main straight into Cops on the inside route. He slices on by, and Halloran has to settle now for P12 in this battle. As out front, it's a comfortable margin then for our race leader, Ryan Jarek. He's got 1.3 seconds on Koga. Maloney 5.6 back.
Yeah, he seems to be struggling, does Maloney at the moment. Also getting held up a bit by traffic, so not doing really all that great at the moment. Did win race 1, obviously, with some fantastic driving, but just seems to be lacking a bit of pace in the second race, which seems to be odd compared to the 2 Eclipse cars ahead of him.
Seen Dave Roberts giving chase to him as well, but hasn't quite got the better of the laps cars there. Makowski just got caught in an awkward place as we still wait for those top 4 to dive down into the pit lane. Not going to happen this time by. As we look to the battle on the screen between Fulton Penny and Benjamin Dahlia. Penny trying to recover from that earlier incident. Oh, they're still going at it for P10 as well, just in front of these guys. Yeah, through the final corner. Damn.
Yeah, the likes of John Holler and Thomas Cool and Bruce Ross all scrapping out for position there, and I believe that was Ira Felberg coming into pit lane just in the background there, so he is going to be getting some new fresh rubber on his car, but at the moment it's that top hill really starting to heat up, and that's car wide. Thomas Cool is running a little bit wide on the exit of turn 1 there.
And going to try and get back the spot that he retook earlier on. Halloran will want to get by Bruce Ross like he tried to do earlier, couldn't quite do. I know Billy's been disqualified from the race. I dare say similar issues to Hatton, not serving this penalty quick enough. As here goes Halloran, the look up the inside, late on the brakes, so is Bruce Ross, but too late for Halloran. Ross gets a whack. They both hold on to it just about. Oh no! Cavallaro just about holds on to it, and that was so unfortunate for him. Bruce Ross and Cavallaro come together there.
Yeah, not know how I don't know how Cavallaro did not get turned there, but Bruce Ross has kept front end of his car. That's looking at land there.
Mahoney and Roberts are both down into pit lane, into their pit bays. These guys should rejoin somewhere around Ethan Grigault, Cooper Webster, and Thomas Hins, Reese Gardner. was in that mix until he had that issue. Gergelt's held a pretty decent gap back to Webster. That is Gardner there in front of a feisty battle between Ross and Towell through the final corner they go. Let's see, just up in front of these guys as Dave Roberts goes. Roberts is going to jump Maloney. They're going to come out a ways behind Gergelt and behind Webster too. Maloney was very slow in the pit lane there.
Yeah, moving up seconds slower than everybody else, which is a bit bizarre. I do wonder if he's maybe taken 4 tyres instead of 2, maybe.
Potentially, only 8 minutes left in the race. He's not going to benefit from it really at all. Be a bit of a mistake from him there on that part. But that battle seems to be pretty spread out then from Gergelt on backwards. They've all been thinned out by the pit stop phase of this though, between Mitch Martin, Daniel Towell, very close indeed. Throw Dean Ross, Reese Gardner into the mix too. Gardner looking like the cork in the bottom at the moment, it seems. Just holding up Ross a little bit, and in turn Towell and Martin.
Yeah, certainly seems to be the case at the moment. Could really be affecting it here, but possibly not. Doesn't really look like it's all that big of an issue.
Yeah, just been able to pull a bit more of a gap over the rest of the lap as Thomas Cool dives down into the lane from P8, the highway auto glass machine, as Mitch Martin gives a shot to the back of Daniel Towell through the corner. Will he get the run through Woodcott down onto the main straight? Look for a move into Cops. He's thinking about it, showing the nose to the outside and out at the inside. Hasn't got an overlap. He'll have to be late on the brakes. Decides better of it. Going to look instead for the run out of the corner. Towel's a bit shallow, runs a bit wide, but does a decent enough job to hold on.
Yeah, he certainly does. And there is a battle for the lead actually going on between the two Eclipse teammates at the moment, between Ryan Jarrett and Tim Gottkrieger, as Ryan Jarrett actually comes in a pit lane. So he's, well, give some clean air to Tim for this lap at least. I believe he's still yet to pit by the looks of it. So will be interesting to see what happens there. Top 7 are all yet to pit. So plenty of cars still yet to pit at the moment. And there's only a handful of minutes left.
There is. We've seen plenty of times drivers leave it right until the penultimate lap of the race. There's Halloran and Cavallaro going at it tooth and nail here out of the final corner. Much shallower line for Halloran. That's because he's going to dive down into pit lane. Let's go back to the battle just behind these guys. That P16, P15 even, Gardner, Ross, and Tao, because that's gotten even closer. And now I think you can definitely say Gardner's starting to hold some people up in that Fusion Sim Racing machine right in front of the DSR car out onto the main straight. Pulse Racing team, I should say. Behind Gardner here. Not close enough for a move into Cops. As just looking to see where Ryan Jarrett rejoined in relation to Ethan Gergelt. About 4 seconds of front. That's pretty comfortable, isn't it, Cam?
It's a pretty solid gap, although that said, they do actually have to still get those tyres up temp, and Jarrett was actually the second quickest pit stop as well, which is rather interesting. So yeah, that's quite a significant advantage there compared to the likes of everybody else, especially when you compare it to Dean Ross and that, who are more in the 23, 24 second range.
It was Martin trying to go by Towel. That didn't quite work. And lost out. So leader comes down into pit lane. That's Tingra Koga. Where will he rejoin relative to Ryan Jarrett? He was almost up to his rear bumper when Jarrett came down to the lane. Look at Hins trying to go up the inside of Dave Roberts. Maloney going to try to follow him through. Hins completes the move. Roberts on the inside of Maloney. The optimum line through that last corner will hold on as Ryan Jarrett comes through Cops. Where is Grakoga? Still in the lane.
Still stop.
Grakoga
speeding in pit lane.
Incredibly slow stop. He's going to be out of the race picture. 30 seconds he was stationary for, and almost clips the exit barrier to boot.
Maybe a penalty, maybe 4 tyres. or maybe even fuel as well.
Yeah, that's an odd one for Grikoga. Similar to what we saw for Maloney, isn't it? Strange indeed. Oh, Sperry's throwing cones at the lead lap cars. Finally gets himself out of the way, but proving a nuisance there in a very bent up Swift racing machine. As these guys will continue to go at it then with 3 minutes 40 seconds left on the clock.
Your time is starting to run out. Probably going to be about, I think, about 2 laps to go this time by for the leaders. So everybody is going to be getting into crunch time and start to put the moves.
Look at this group behind Hins. Everyone is now pitted, including Cavallaro, who made his stop on the last lap, so he'll get cycled out and back down the order as the lead for Jarek sits at 2.7 seconds. It's 4.9 back to Webster, 8.1 to Grikoga, 10 seconds back to Hins, and then at 7/10 separating himself, Roberts and Maloney behind him. Gardner holding up Dean Ross still, as well as Daniel Towell's going to go off the track. Mitch Martin's going to go by him, and Towell's going to rejoin quite a way off the back of him as a result of that, losing a lot of time from that mistake.
Yeah, easy to do in these front-wheel drive cars where you just end up getting on the throttle a little bit too early or missing the apex and ending up off the road. As Maloney has a run here on the car of Dave Roberts. Is he going to look to make a move at the hairpin? No, he thinks better of and just sits in for the time. Bam, contact between Hins and Roberts, and more contact.
Oh, around he goes. Maloney's going to redress. That's very good. That's very nice in there for Maloney. Recognising mistake, and Roberts will be allowed to retake his position. Unfortunately, they're both gifted bucket loads of time to Thomas Hins, who will streak out in 5th place now. And Reese Gardner will join at the back of this battle, courtesy of that mistake. Dean Ross will come with him.
Yeah, they certainly will. And then you've got the likes of Mitch Martin and also Daniel Tell not too far behind. So this could end up being about this car train for 6th position. And gap is actually shortened out to 2 seconds, but for the lead, Grigol massively quicker than Jarek by 8/10.
If that continues, it'll be 2/10 short at the final part of the start-finish stripe. Now that would be interesting. We'll watch that with interest then. As Maloney gets very close to the back of Dave Roberts. Will he go for the move into turn 5 once again? He needs to run out of this corner to make it happen. Pretty decent run. Don't know whether he's going to be close enough. As once again, there's a cone stricken on the track, well out of place. It'll get reset, and it'll end up back out middle of the track once more. Next time we come around, I'm sure of that, as Reese Gardner goes deep into the corner. Gets to the back bumper of that TCR machine. Gave him a little bit of a push through the turn 5, but wasn't able to capitalise on it. And Maloney's got to be careful about defending now too.
Yeah, he's going to have a car in his mirrors and a car ahead of him that he's got to think about. He's got to do 2 things at once. So it'll be interesting to see whether he can manage to hold on to the position. Maloney, a very good driver, so he should do things at once of defence and offence as well. So see whether he can possibly get past Dave Roberts, getting right up to the back end of that Pace Syndicate car. So not quite getting a good exit though compared to Dave, and Rescan really having not a good run through that corner either.
9/10 quicker for Ethan Grigol last time by than Ryan Jarek. The white flag is in the air. This is the final time around of the gap out front. Less than a second now. The gap from P5 backwards, even closer. P6 backwards, I should say, even closer than that. As Maloney all over the back of Roberts on the approach to turn 4. Not close enough. Again, going to look for the run. This time he's a little bit closer out of the corner. But I reckon Roberts has just about got this one covered off. Because Maloney doesn't seem to be strong enough in the places where it really matters. Roberts is going to go a bit defensive. Is Maloney going to go for the late lunge? No, he's not. Roberts going to dance it in. That car was moving about a little bit on the brakes there. He got it stopped nicely and got it pulled up and got the car turned and got the exit into 2. Look at the gap out front as we come through turn 8, and then into turn 9. What about a move at the final opportunity for Ethan Gregalt? Ryan Jarrett drives it as late as he can into the corner. As long as he gets the exit, he should be okay. He's gonna hold on. Ryan Jarrett will win race 2, round 1 here in Silverstone to claim a very good win, just about, from Ethan Gregalt in second. What about this battle behind? Roberts will hold on too, and Gardner can't get close enough to Maloney.
Yeah, Maloney had to go at the second to last corner, but couldn't quite get the move done at the end of the day. So unfortunately, we'll have to settle for that position of P7. But regardless, really, really good racing throughout the field. But at the moment, there is a battle going on for that final top 20 stop. Stalin has been shifted wide by Bruce Ross, and now is having to come under attack from Mitchell Wiley. And there's a car around. Fulton Penny in contact as well. There's going to be a drag race to the line between Bruce Ross and Mitchell Wiley. Wiley's going to be on the inside and should have the job done just about. And
Ross Dallon rejoin in front of Spencer and Fulton Penny. That was an adventurous re-entry to the racetrack. This is a replay of the final sector for these drivers. There's the contact that sends Dallon off to the right-hand side.
Yeah, that was a big moment. Yeah. When he went off the road out of the final corner and just straight off through cones, through grass, over bumps and gravel. It was all on it. And somehow he did not get collected by Matthew Spencer. I do not know how there was no contact there. It was so close.
Super close indeed. Pretty much sums up the racing here in the TTC series. As let's take a look at the unofficial results from Silverstone for the feature race. Ryan Jarrett, a well-deserved victory then. The margin, 0.16 of a second over Ethan Gregalt. Cooper Webster made it 2 out of the top 3 for Evolution Racing Team. They will lead at the team's points after round 1. Tim Grekoga came 4th out of Thomas Hins in 5th. Much improved result for him after race 1. Dave Roberts, Maloney, Gardner Ross, and Mitch Martin rounded out that top 10.
We'll go back to Daniel Tell and Mia on in 11th and 12th, 13th, 14th, Ashley Norman and Steve Cortez, followed by Sam Ross rounding out the top 15, Hamish Collins 16th, 17th, Thomas Cool 18th, 19th to John Halloran, and rounding out the top 20 will be Mitchell Wiley.
Rest of the results will cycle through on your screen as we're going to take a chat with our race winner, Ryan Jarrett. Congratulations. It got a bit tight at the end there.
Yeah, thanks, guys. That was a really close one. I think I might have made the wrong call with the tyres, so Ethan was catching me the whole way, but happy to hold on.
We'll talk about the tyres because we saw some interesting things, such as Maloney and Grekoga dropping bucket loads of time in the pit stop phase. Obviously, your teammates with Tim, did he take 4 tyres? Was that the reason for that?
We still need to have a look into that, actually. He, as far as we know, he did everything right, but seemed to lose about 5 seconds in the pit stop, I think.
This is a strange one indeed. So, about tyre strategy, you said you might have done the wrong thing. Obviously, it's not really worth taking 4 tyres because of how short the race is. But in terms of right and wrong, what were your options today for tyres? Was it lefts, rights, opposites, fronts, rears?
Well, we learnt last season not to change one side alone, so today it was rears. But I think that might have been the wrong choice. I think the setup was a bit too aggressive and I needed to take the fronts.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, of course, the front-wheel drive machine, so you think the fronts are doing all the work, but you got it done in the end for Eclipse Sim Sports and that pink and white car looking pretty good there, I must say. A good way to start your season off. Still 5 more weeks ahead of us. Short and sharp season as always. So we're staying in the UK all season long. What are your ambitions for this one?
Well, I'm actually in the B team this season, so just trying to keep it consistent, I think.
Maybe the bosses at Eclipse might want to rethink that one because you were the fastest driver of them all out there today. I reckon you got a good shot at that championship if you can keep it up. Before I let you go, who are the people that get it done for you and the sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, big thanks to all the guys at Eclipse. Everyone's worked really hard leading into this, and I think the results shown there. And a big thank you to pitbox.io, who've actually just joined us. This is our first race with them as a sponsor. So glad we could get the result, and also to downunderhost.com.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully, we get a chance to talk to you a few more times before the season concludes. Back here at Silverstone in 6 weeks' time. Talk to you next time.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Well, that was your race winner then, Ryan Jarrett. We've also got Ethan Grigalt ready to join us. He's standing by with Cameron Dance.
Oh, Ethan, P2 in race 2 and P5 in race 1. You can't complain with round 1 results so far.
Yeah, not too bad. Off to a good start so far for a car that I've barely driven at all, and especially being front wheel drive, I have no idea how to drive these things. So yeah, it's a pretty good start.
Well, obviously, with that gap closing down in the second race, very, very close finish in the end, but not quite. Was the strategy more or less sort of want to do it earlier on to begin with, or was it just sort of already wanting to do the overcut later on?
Yeah, look, we were thinking about pitting on lap 1 just because we knew the tyres took so long to come up and they'd be the best at the end of the race. But I wasn't really held up in that sort of first stint there, so I decided to stay out a little bit longer. And it seems like that was probably the way to go, was to stay out a bit further because they just take so long to come up. And yeah, I'm surprised when when Ryan came out with such a large gap in front, but managed to pull it down in the end. If only there was 1 or 2 more laps left, I reckon we would have got him for the win.
Yeah, it was going to be very, very close, and you probably would have gone. But nevertheless, still 5 rounds to go. Some interesting track combos. So you're looking forward to it. And what are your ambitions sort of towards the series come the end of the championship?
Yeah, look, I'd like to improve my qualifying for one. Very very much used to this new V7 time model and how to actually warm the thing up. So I think my teammates told me to get the handbrake out, but I was a bit too scared to do that. But yeah, definitely improve on the qualifying, learn how to drive front wheel drive cars a bit more, and I think we'll.
Well, before we let you go, we'll let you give any shout outs and any thanks to sponsors and that sort of stuff.
Just thanks to everyone at ERT for being awesome as always. Our new sponsors are Panther Race Fuels and MR Race.
Well, there you have it, Ryan. The second place finisher in race 2, and I don't believe we've got anybody else standing.
No, that is our interviews concluded. And on that, we shall conclude the broadcast for today. If you want to stay up to date with the whole season, come back at the same time next week at 6:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time for round 2 from Brands Hatch. That would be a very interesting race, that one. Before then, we've got plenty more broadcasts coming up on Simspeed TV. Make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube page and our social media channels as well, so you don't miss a moment here with us. We've got, what have we got? We've got quite a busy week and month ahead of us. Poor old Jay is going to be behind the chair almost every hour of every day, it seems like. Starting up the iRacing. Actually, I don't know whether that's been announced, so I'm going to leave that one. But of course, we have NASCAR iRacing Series on Saturday. The Porsche qualifying series is unfortunately concluded, but we do have the Majors Series on the weekend as well. We've got the Friday Night Truck Series on Friday, Supercars on Monday night, Formula One. Yes, it has been announced. That is on Sunday morning. So make sure you get up bright and early for that, or if you're eating your breakfast, tune in to listen to some early morning F1 action of back when those cars sounded absolutely delightful. That should be a pleasure just to listen to that one. As we wrap this one up, thank you for tuning in. My name has been Ryan Jones. Cameron Dance alongside me and Jake Kennedy behind the scenes. We will see you next time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rhythm, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson.
these guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh, no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh, my God.
God, what?